Welcome to this explainer. Picture this. You're out camping, zipped up tight in your sleeping bag. It's pitch black, you're just listening to the ambient sounds of the woods, and suddenly, a twig snaps right outside your tent. Your heart instantly races, right? Well, this highlights the ultimate paradox of the great outdoors. Out there, we feel completely and utterly vulnerable. And yet somehow, apex predators, animals that could literally tear through a campsite like tissue paper, actively avoid us. Why on earth is that?
It really begs a massive, fascinating question. How exactly does a millimeter-thin layer of flimsy nylon protect you from a 500-pound predator? Honestly, it's a high-stakes primal mystery that's puzzled campers for decades. So today we're going to treat our survival in the wild like a scientific detective story. We're going to piece together the evolutionary clues that keep us totally safe even when we're fast asleep.
Let's start by defining what we'll call the tent paradox. We feel totally exposed out there, yet apex predators will frequently just walk right past our campsites. You see, our human intuition screams that lying perfectly still in the dark, trapped in a bag, is our absolute greatest weakness. I mean, we can't run, we can't see, we're essentially cornered. But as we're going to uncover in this explainer, that very stillness and isolation is actually part of an ancient invisible shield.
Section 1. The Super Predator Fear.
To really grasp this shield, we've got to flip the script on who is actually afraid of whom in the wild, because, evolutionarily speaking, humans aren't prey. We are the super predator. Look, large carnivores like lions, bears, and hyenas have coexisted with humans across the globe for hundreds of thousands of years. And over that immense timeline, well, humans became incredibly dangerous. Through our invention of projectile weapons, our absolute mastery of fire, and our highly cooperative hunting tactics, we became literally the most lethal species on Earth. We even wiped out entire populations of Pleistocene megafauna. So the wild predators that managed to survive our rise were simply the ones that developed a healthy, deep-seated terror of us.
Okay, let's dive into this remarkable quote from a 2019 study. Dr. Justin Sarashi at UC Santa Cruz found that simply playing human voices in the wild causes pumas to immediately flee and abandon their kills. This brilliantly illustrates that top-tier predators are hardwired to be terrified of us. And get this, they didn't play the sound of gunshots or barking dogs. No, just the casual, everyday sound of a human conversation was enough to make a mountain lion instantly drop its hard-earned meal and run for its life. That is the sheer power of the super predator reputation.
Section 2. Scent, Stillness, and Neophobia. Let's shift gears and look at the campsite from the predator's perspective. Which brings us to a really critical concept, neophobia. This is the extreme, innate fear of anything unfamiliar or new in the environment. You have to remember, predators are naturally highly risk-averse. An injury in the wild usually means starvation, so they rely on very strict visual and scent-based prey recognition templates to decide what's safe to eat. Now just imagine a human campsite. You've got nylon tents, synthetic sleeping bags, deodorant, soap, minty toothpaste. To a wild animal with a superpowered sense of smell, this combination is incredibly bizarre and intensely artificial. It completely fails to match any of their familiar prey templates. Because of neophobia, a predator's instinct is to actively avoid this strange, weird-smelling hazard rather than investigate it.
Let's see how this builds when we actually look at the physical mechanics of an attack. Think about a fleeing prey animal versus a sleeping human. Back in the 1990s, researchers like Palomares documented how predator attack sequences rely heavily on a motion trigger. When a deer or a rabbit senses danger, its immediate reaction is to bolt. That sudden, fast motion instantly triggers a hardwired chase reflex in the predator. But a sleeping human, you are entirely still. You lack any motion trigger whatsoever, so that primal chase and kill motor pattern simply never fires.
Synthesizing those points gives us a truly bizarre reality. To a predator, a sleeping human is practically an inert, weird-smelling landscape feature. Because there's no chase trigger and your scent entirely mismatches their prey templates, the predator's attack circuit is just never activated. Literally, to a passing bear or mountain lion, your tent is functionally closer to a confusing, synthetic-smelling fallen log than a potential meal.
Section 3. The Sentinel Sleep Defense.
To really understand this next defense, we have to look at chronotypes. These are the natural, age-based variations in our individual sleep schedules and rhythms. Think of your classic night owls versus early birds. In 2017, anthropologist Dr. David Sampson ran an incredible study on the Hadza hunter-gatherers of Tanzania, a group living in environments very similar to early hominids. The hypothesis was that human groups, being social animals, share vigilance during sleep to protect the vulnerable. The study essentially sought to prove whether we actually all sleep at the exact same time or if our chronotypes naturally stagger our rest.
Now, what's really interesting here is this single, staggering number, 18. Dr. Sampson's team tracked a group of 33 Hadza adults using wrist monitors over 20 whole nights. Out of that entire multi-week period, all 33 individuals were asleep simultaneously for exactly 18 minutes. Just 18 minutes over 20 days. It is an absolutely stunning finding that completely shifts our entire understanding of how humans sleep in the wild.
Let's break down exactly what this means through the sentinel sleep hypothesis. Because group sleep is highly asynchronous due to our different chronotypes, an astounding 99.8% of the night, at least one person in the group is awake or in a very light stage of sleep. This dynamic acts as a constant, natural guard. We aren't just getting lucky out there. Our biology is specifically designed to keep a sentinel on duty at all times. And this collective vigilance deters predators long before they can even safely approach a group of sleeping humans.
Section 4. When the rules break. So the crucial point is, what happens when this invisible shield actually fails? When predators actually do attack sleeping humans, it's almost always due to abnormal conditions, completely throwing nature out of balance. The first major exception is habituation. According to Dr. Stephen Herrero's 2002 research, when bears experience repeated, safe contact with humans around campgrounds, they completely lose that natural neophobia we talked about earlier. They stop fearing us and begin associating our nylon tents with easy food, like cooler boxes and trash. The second exception is prey collapse. Professor Craig Packer's 2005 research on Tanzanian lions showed that attacks actually peak during severe droughts. When natural prey populations collapse and mass starvation sets in, desperate predators are forced to override their deep-seated evolutionary fear of humans just to survive.
When you tie all these clues together, the main takeaway is pretty clear. The absolutely greatest threat to our ancient evolutionary truce is human interference. Our invisible shield in the wilderness relies entirely on wild animals remaining wild. By avoiding habituation, properly storing our food, and respecting their space, we are actively maintaining the very boundaries that keep us safe in the woods.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought to ponder. If our safety fundamentally relies on wild animals fearing us, what happens when we make them way too comfortable in our world? It's a remarkably fragile balance between humanity and nature, one that is literally written into our DNA, and one we must be incredibly careful not to break. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, I hope it gives you a little peace of mind the next time you zip up that nylon tent.